Good morning. Hello, everyone. Please post a hello in the comments so that I know that you found me now that I've moved to my author page. Hopefully it won't be too confusing. But I've moved over here now, so hopefully it'll all work from here. So yeah, pop a comment and say hello so that I know that you're there, because I can see there's people there. There we are. Hi, Eva. It's my husband posting hello. It's going to be a long day. Hi, Maria. Mad, absolutely mad. Hi, Sheila. Hi, Jay. Hi, Heather. Hi, Karen. Hi, Alana. Hi, Vicky. Wow, lots of people. Maria says hello. Right, so new spot, mainly because it opens me up to a bit more people, because the personal page was getting to its limit, and it also means that I don't have to faff about changing the settings to public so that I can see all your comments. So there were reasons behind it, important reasons. Heather says hello as well. Did you want to do your own show? I'm afraid you can't say hello to Eric at the minute because he's in the garden, probably eating plants, I would imagine. Good morning to Sue, the dedicated druid. And hi, Leslie, didn't sleep in this morning. You are allowed to sleep in, you know. Alana says, just get your own show, will you? Everyone saying good morning to you. I am looking, yeah. Eric is trying to find grass to eat in the garden. So he may appear at some point. So, good morning, another Friday. I honestly don't know where the days go. It's all very confusing now. It all mingles into one. Right, let's get rid of the keyboard because we don't need that. Don't need that either. Get this organised. Right, card for today. Oracle card for today. It's a Rachel, Eric and Pete show. There could be a teenager involved as well, but Ben's still asleep. Actually, he should be getting up shortly to do his schoolwork. But anyway, card for the weekend. Cornflower, which is intuition. Hi, Zoe. Hi, Jess. Cornflower. Cornflower is called bachelor's buttons, I think, isn't it, in American? Let me just check. Some things have different names, don't they? Right. Didn't write it down. Card is from this. I'm sitting on my shirt now. The card is from, it's just, let's start Friday again, shall we? It's from the Flower Magic Oracle deck. So we have Cornflower, and it's all about intuition. Maria got Coreopsis today. Oh, Sun Magic, we like a bit of Sun Magic. Hi, Jackie. One of my favourite flowers, actually, cornflowers. I think the colour of them is stunning. We've got, looks like a stroppy teenager, actually, in the corner here. I'm assuming she's just sitting there trying to tap into her intuition. I've got this card today because the very lovely Maria asked me to do a little chat on scrying. And scrying involves an awful lot of your intuition. I think that's key, actually, to most kinds of divination, is following your intuition, trusting your intuition. So that's the card for today, and it is, trust your intuition, it won't ever let you down. If your heart and soul tell you that something's not right, then it probably isn't. If your stomach churns at the thought of doing something, then don't do it. If you do have a positive hurrah kind of glow about something, then trust that it is the right kind of thing to do. If you feel you can trust someone at their word and your body is giving you all the right signs, go with it. Just be careful, because some people are really good at manipulation. Don't put yourself in any dangerous or silly situations. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt. Your intuition can tell you a great many things, and if you ignore it, you do so at your own peril. I speak from experience. Oh, yes. However, do bear in mind that intuition can sometimes take a little while to kick in. If you get all excitable about something, allow it to sink in before listening to your inner voice. Occasionally, our wants can overtake our needs. Oh, yes. Actually, this card's probably all about me. Cornflower Magic is absolutely brilliant. You can use it in any magical workings to increase your psychic abilities. Use the flower petals in incense to increase your... See, it is going to be a long day. Use the flower petals to increase your self-knowledge, to encourage acceptance of differences in all things, and to protect against psychic attack and negative energy. The petals can also be made into an ink to write petitions and spells, or eaten to impart their magical properties. They actually look really pretty in recipes. Cornflowers appeared on oh dear me. I need coffee or sugar or something. Cornflowers appearing on farmland is seen as a sign of fertile soil. It was used as an old folk remedy for eye problems, the petals being made into a poultice to replace over the poorly eye. Because of this, it's also gained a reputation for being good for the third eye, increasing psychic abilities. See, most of these magical properties do have roots in folk magic, and it's absolutely fascinating. So there's your card for today, this weekend, however long you want to work with. Intuition. I think it's really, really key for anything, really. Magic, spell work, divination in particular, but just going about your daily life as well. You do have to learn to trust your intuition, because it won't let you down. And if you ignore it, you will get yourself in trouble. And I do speak from an awful lot of experience there. Hi, Melody. Sue, do you want to borrow my teeth? I think I need to borrow someone, Sue. Perhaps I just need a gin or something. Right, so the lovely Maria asked me to do a little chat about scrying, and then lots of people did ask for different types of scrying, but some of the suggestions were also considered as divination rather than scrying. I'm just going to turn my emails off, otherwise we're going to get lots of pings. There we go. So I will start with scrying. I'll start with mirror scrying and water scrying. I will read the blurb. Scrying is the art of telling the future using a reflective surface, which can be a crystal ball, a mirror, or the surface of any body of water. So I'm going to cover mirror scrying, water scrying, and I've got my crystal ball. But I'm also going to cover some other things because people have specifically asked for them. Pendulum in particular was one thing, and wax shapes was one of the others, and also cloud scrying. So scrying is slightly different because it is reading a reflective surface, whereas pendulum and reading tea leaves, wax shapes, things like that is general divination. But we'll cover bits and pieces. We can always do another one on the bits that we miss out. My hay fever is quite high this morning, so I apologise if I sneeze somewhere through it. So let's start with water scrying. Got some kit here, which I've just thrown on the floor. Now I've got a very nice goddess bowl that I use for my scrying, water scrying. I use it because it's got a dark inside. You can use a cereal bowl, a pudding dish, a mug, a cup. I've got some little dishes here as well, which would work. They're tiny, but they'd still work well because it's got a dark inside. You can use a bowl with a light inside, but I think the dark helps with the reading more than the light one. But it's up to you. It doesn't have to be a fancy bowl like this. I was gifted this one, so it works perfectly, but it doesn't have to be anything fancy. And then you need to put some water in it. You can scry with water in a bowl, water in a mug, but you can also water scry with a puddle, top of a puddle, particularly if you're in a city and it gets that oily film on it. That's brilliant for scrying. Not brilliant for the environment, but brilliant for scrying. You can scry on a pond or a pool or a fountain, a lake, any kind of flattish water surface can be used for water scrying. So it doesn't need to be a poncy bowl. Let's get some water. Pour your water in. Now, this is actually best done on a full moon. So I'm going to fill it up with some water. If you've got any questions, as always, just type them in the comments. Questions about what I'm doing or witchcraft in general or me or anything really, cakes, I don't know. Pop it in the comments and I will do my best to answer them. I like to pop a silver coin in the bottom just because it helps with the reflections. Like I say, full moon's brilliant. If you can do it outside with the light of the full moon, then brilliant. If not, sit where the light of the moon comes through the window, because the moon reflecting on the surface of the water really helps with reading of any of the reflections in the images. Let's move that back a bit. Now, you're not going to be able to see particularly well, but I'll show you the idea. So you can just use water and get the reflection of the moon. If there isn't a full moon, you can light a candle. A little candle here. You can light a candle and try and get the reflection of the candle on the water as well. That helps. But you can also drop, if you swirl the water around, you can drop some ink drops in. I don't actually have any ink at the moment. That's what happens when your teenage daughter moves out and takes the craft supplies with her. But you can drop ink on the top and that will create some images and some patterns and some reflections. But I like to use herbs. So I've got some herbs here. I've actually got, from Freya's Cauldron in my little pot, dried dandelion. This one's particularly good. You want small pieces of herbs, but dandelion's really good because it's good for psychic abilities too. So you've got an added sort of double whammy. So swirl the water around and then sprinkle a pinch of herbs. Don't need anything more on the top. And then you read it. It's difficult to explain, but you need to unfocus is probably the best way of saying it. Ground and center is probably best first, because if you're all hyper like this, like I am at the minute, it's going to be rubbish. Ground and center, and then sort of unfocus your eyes across the top. I don't tend to look right in the water. I'll sit back and look across the surface of it. And then you just need to let your mind wander. You let eyesight unfocus and see what images or patterns or even what words pop into your head. Oh, it looks like there's a horse in there now, actually. I don't know if you can quite see from there. I'll hold it up just a little bit. So you've got the reflection of the coin in the bottom. I've actually got the reflection of the light above me on the top. And then you've got the herbs. So you can get images from the reflections of the light, you can get images from the reflection of the coin, and then you can get images of the herbs or ink or oil or whatever you drip on the top will also give you some different images to look at. And then it's up to you. So I've seen a horse. It's not a horse anymore. It's it's all quite squishy now. Not really sure what it is now. It'll come, it'll come. So I've seen a horse, so I then would decipher what that means to me. There are books, there's lots of books with meanings for symbols, dream symbols, divination symbols. They're useful, but I'm going back to intuition. What a horse means to me might be something completely different to someone else. I love horses. I don't own one. If you own a horse, it might mean something different. If you work on a farm, it might mean something different. A horse to me means working. It means power. It means strength. It might mean something completely different to someone else. And it will also make a difference as to what's actually going on in your life at the moment, as to what that horse means to you or what that symbol means to you. So do trust your intuition. Jot it down. When you're doing anything like this, write down all the symbols and images that you see. They can see a face. Actually, I can see a bit of a skull face now. Death, skull, death, but not in the actual drop dead sense of the word. Death to me is always something that I look forward to because it means changes, good changes. Death of something to have rebirth so that something new comes in. Maybe it's this changing situation in the world, but hopefully it's sorting itself out. But yeah, I can see a face now. Actually, it looks like Homer Simpson. I can see Homer Simpson in my scrying bowl now. And I'm really not sure what that means because I don't watch The Simpsons. Jot down everything you see. Just make a note. Images, words that come into your head, shapes, whatever you think, whatever you see, jot them down. And then when you've finished, you can come back to it and sit down properly. Oh, so you can see a skull too. Yeah, it is. There's definitely one there. You can come back to it then, and you can have a look and see what it actually means to you. A teenage child. Because it will mean something different to everybody individually. So basically that is water scrying. So if anybody's got any more questions about that one, pop them in the comments and I will do my best to answer them. But that's it. It really is that simple. A dish, water, and that's about it. You can add a coin, you can add herbs, you can add Maria C. Fred Finster. So this morning's divination is all about cartoon characters. But again, it might mean something to you. Yeah, depends if you watch them or not. Cartoon character could be releasing your inner child. There you go. And Fred Flintstone could just mean that you need a steak, Maria. That's what, you know, dinosaur steak or something. So that's it. That's water scrying. It really is that simple. And you can do the same with a puddle or a pond or anything like that, any body of water. Just sit quietly and allow your vision to unfocus and see what you see. Simples, basically. While I've got the water here, I will jump to wax shapes, which isn't actually scrying as such, but I was asked to give a demonstration of it. You wouldn't normally have the herbs in it, but I've got herbs, so we'll work with that. You will need, it's called ceroscopy. That actually sounds like a medical procedure, doesn't it? It's called ceroscopy, ceroscopy. You light the candle, ask a question, and then you drip wax from it onto a bowl of cold water. I don't think it matters what colour the candle is, but we'll give it a go. I'll just put this on here so that I don't actually drop wax all over the table, which has happened before now. Let's light this candle, and then we've got. So any candle, doesn't matter what it is, doesn't matter what colour it is, just as long as you can get it to drip or light in this case, because the candle's not lighting. Again, ground and centre, not totally hyper. Ask a question. I think it's with scrying, you can just look for a general message, but I think if you focus it more with a question, you'll get better response from it. So ask a question. I mean, it could be fairly general, you know, what's going to happen this weekend? Light your candle, ask the question, and then literally drip the wax onto the bowl. It's got to be cold water, because obviously as soon as the wax hits the water, it will then set. It's going to mingle in with the herbs here. Normally don't do it with herbs, but I'm going to just drip the wax onto the surface of the water. Do it for as long, again, intuition, do it for as long as you think. If you want to do it with several candles of different colours to get different images, then go for it. Again, work with your intuition and how it works for you. And again, I guess it would depend on the colour of your bowl as to the colour of a candle. If you've got a white inside your bowl, you probably don't want a white candle because you wouldn't see the images properly. I'm not really seeing anything yet. I'm going to keep going till I see something. I actually quite like reading like this. I think probably because it involves burning stuff. And who doesn't love playing with candle wax, let's face it. Okay, so I can see a fish, can see a little fish there. Fish to me is prosperity. It's a Chinese symbol of prosperity, I believe. But I always associate fish, particularly goldfish, which this probably looks like because I'm using an orange candle. So prosperity I can see, which is good. I can see a map of Great Britain now, which is quite random. Not really sure what that means. I don't know, pride maybe. I'm thinking on my feet here now. So yeah, we're going back to 4 candles now. No, you only need 1 candle for this. Well, you could have 4 candles, 1 of each colour. So literally just go for as long as you can, as long as you want to, as long as you feel you need to. So I've got some shapes in here. I don't know if you can see them. I need a close-up video really, don't I? I think the herbs probably confuse it or make it more interesting. Who knows? Yeah, I do this until I can actually see something, Maria. I keep going until I see something. I've definitely seen a fish, and I can see a map of the United Kingdom for some reason. Yeah, I'd say keep going until you see something or till you feel that you're done. And you can scoop it out and start again as well. You can add different colour candle. I'm pointing, you can't see them. You can add different colour candles as well if you want, just to make the reading more interesting. But yeah, I drip until I actually see something or I feel that I've got the answer to my question. Yeah, there was definitely a fish in there, but it is looking like the UK now. Not that my geography is brilliant, but I do recognise what the United Kingdom looks like. And that's it. That's wax scrying. I think it's great fun. It's one of the things that I do like to do. Again, you have to translate the images as you understand them. You can do it for other people. If you've got someone sitting there and you want to do a reading for them, you can get them to ask a question and do the candle scrying for them. Butterfly. Heather, that's because you're lovely. An orange butterfly with lots of herbs stuck to it. Butterfly is good though. Butterfly is transformation, isn't it? That's emerging from the caterpillar. That's new perspective. That's coming out of yourself. So that's it. Again, really, really simple, but great fun to do. I do enjoy doing that one. Let's put that there so that I don't spill it. So let's have a look at mirror scrying now. I do have a black mirror. Black mirrors are traditional for scrying, but my black mirror is a full-length mirror and it's out in the garden. So I'm not going to bring it in to show it to you because it's a bit large and cumbersome. You can scry with a normal mirror. I've got a little teeny one here. So you can scry with a normal mirror, but black mirrors are actually really easy to make. Now, proper black mirrors, and I say proper, would have been polished obsidian. The great John Dee apparently used to read and foretell with a huge, great big black polished obsidian. Most of us can't afford that. You can read with smaller pieces. I've got a piece of snowflake obsidian here, but it's only got a few bits of snowflake on it. And one side is quite black, but it's polished. I don't know if you can see that. So you could read the reflections in the polished surface of the black obsidian. Again, dark colour usually works better. I've got a slightly lumpier piece here, but it's that shiny surface because scrying is all about reading reflections. So they work really well. But if you want to make a black mirror, they are really, really easy. You need just a normal photo frame with the glass in the front. Take it apart. Paint one side of the piece of glass with black paint, acrylic paint is fine. Put it back together with the paint on the inside of the frame, and then you've got a shiny black surface. You could even really put a piece of black card behind it if you wanted to, rather than painting it. And it's that simple to make a black mirror. You then do the same sort of thing as you do with the water. Best or better to do it when there's a full moon, or even waxing or waning moon where there's still some light, so that the light and the reflection of the moon reflects off of the black mirror. But you can do it with a candle sitting here so that the just reflects. It's all about reflections, so do it so that the candle light just reflects on it. But so you can do it with a normal mirror. This is a teeny tiny one. This was from Freya's Cauldron as well. So you can, what you want is to get it nighttime would be better. And just read the reflections. If you can get it to reflect a black or a dark surface, and then unfocus. Again, I'm not looking at it straight on, I'm looking at it across. That's how I do it. You might find it easier to do it straight on, but I don't want to look at a reflection of myself. If you've got it standing and you've got the moon, I tilt it away from me, and you've got the moon coming in on it, that would be absolutely brilliant. Again, it's all about reflections. So it's reading the images and the symbols that you see in the reflections of it. Karen likes to feed the crows in the cemetery most days. Fantastic. When I've been ill, they left me a crystal. Oh, crows are brilliant for gifting things. Yesterday, they left me a glass disc, and it has the sun on one side. Oh, fantastic. Excellent. Yeah, crows are very, very magical creatures. And they do like to give gifts for being fed, apparently. Very, very intelligent creatures. But that's fantastic to be gifted by the crows. But yeah, scrying, it's all about reflections. So whether it's a mirror, whether it is water, it's all about reading the symbols and the images that you see from the reflections. It's your subconscious kicks in, I think, and it is about how you translate it. If you have got a black mirror and you do work with it, I would suggest cleansing it after each using, because it can attract negative energy. Just waft it with incense smoke. Absolutely fine, but really easy to make as well. But yeah, if you've got a shiny dark crystal, that will work too. So yeah, read the reflections, trust your intuition on it. So that's mirror scrying and water scrying. If there's any questions about either of those, pop them in the comments and I will do my best to answer them. I think once you've seen the symbols or you've had words in your head, write them down. I'd leave it at least a few hours, probably to the next day, to then come back and see if you can translate what the images and symbols mean to you. I think you need a little bit of time to process it. Oh, good morning, Eric. So that's it. Now let's have a look at crystal ball. Unless you've got any other questions on those two, do pop them in the comments. We'll just wait for Eric to finish digging in the armchair. It is his armchair, so that's fine. Now I have got a very nice crystal ball here. That was again gifted to me. That's what happens when you have a husband that when your birthday comes up, he messages the goddess and the green man in Glastonbury and says, "It's my wife's birthday, here's some money, send me some nice things." Which I think is an absolutely brilliant way of buying presents. Heather says hello, you right? Yeah. So I have got a big crystal ball here. It's not a crystal ball as such. Real crystal balls are incredibly expensive. So it is actually glass. Maria, if you have a larger black mirror, do you just unfocus? Yeah, you do. You just it's about disconnecting the conscious, the sensible part of your brain. And I find that just slightly unfocusing my eyes allows the symbols and the reflections and the images to come through. You want one crystal ball. This is a glass one, because real crystal ones are incredibly expensive. You don't have to have a large crystal ball. I have several smaller ones. In fact, if I lean my head like that, you can see them on the mantelpiece behind me. I have got quite a few spheres. I actually really like the coloured ones for reading from. The crystal clear ones are brilliant, but I like the colours. I can read better with the colours ones, but it doesn't have to be huge. It can be a little tiny glass one like that. Size doesn't always matter. I think it helps to have it on a stand. I don't know if you can see if I tip it up. So if I tip that up, you can see where it's dark. The stand is dark underneath. You get a dark base to it. So you can already see different reflections in there. And the same with this one. I think I like the coloured ones because they have got a darker base. Go with what you can afford, go with what you've got. It's called officially Crystallomancy, which it sounds like a character from some 80s kind of sitcom thing, but there you go. It is the art of divination using a shiny surface, such as a crystal ball. Again, you can do it with crystals. tumblestones or bigger crystals. If the surface is got a shine to it, then you can read it from a crystal as well. So it doesn't have to be a crystal ball. Again, we're working with the full moon. It does seem to be the best one for divination because you get that reflection of light. But again, you can work with the waxing or the waning as long as there's a little bit of moonlight. If you haven't got the moonlight, you can work with the candle flame just placed. You probably can't see it. It's a bit light to be doing this kind of reading. You really need it in the evening and with the lights turned out so that you get more shapes and reflections. On a sunny day like today with the light, you're not going to get too much, but you can position, and you can see there, if I put the candle behind it, you're starting to get all sorts of different images where the candle flickers. Camera's struggling to focus on it. There you go. So if the room was dark, you'd get some really good images from that. So candle flame, that smells really nice too. Candles from Children of Artemis shop. They're absolutely brilliant. They smell lovely. So yeah, you need, again, it's all about getting those reflections in there so that you can get images and symbols. So moonlight or candlelight, but do it in the darker light because it's too bright for it today, really, during the day. I'm not leaning forward like this. I've got some notes here, look. See, it doesn't all come out of my head. I've got some notes here just to make sure I've covered it all. It's not one of my preferred ways of reading, I must admit. I've not had a huge amount of success with this one. I think it's probably every witch will have their own specialities, their own skills. There will be things that you resonate with and there will be things that you don't. But I think with the crystal balls, they're pretty much the same as crystals or singing bowls or anything like that. You have to connect with the one, or the one has to connect with you. So this one, beautiful as it is, I haven't had a lot of success with. This one, the green one, I have much more. I obviously connect with it more than this one. So find the right one for you. But as I say, it doesn't have to be a huge crystal ball like that. It can be smaller tumblestones or polished crystals. Use what you've got to hand. And again, I think it's about unfocusing. I don't think it's you singing, but don't look directly into the crystal ball. Look across it so that the images and the symbols that you see will just catch in the corners of your eyesight rather than you directly looking at them. You'll just catch the images of them. And again, write them down. Write down the symbols and the images that you see and any words that come into your head. You want to do some crystal ball reading? Is that what it is? And that's basically it again. It is really straightforward. It doesn't have to be very complicated at all. Say what you see. As with any divination at all, even with tarot reading, I suggest saying what you see. The first words or images that come into your head are the right ones. No matter how silly they might seem at the time, Homer Simpson, at some point afterwards you'll go, that's what it means. Trust your intuition. Absolutely trust your intuition. So that's crystal ball reading. You're all very quiet today. Either you've all run away or I've lulled you into a false sleep or something. So that's crystal ball. So again, if you've got any questions, ask away. Someone did ask me to show pendulum. I have a couple. My first pendulum. Eric's run off now. He's gone to sit in the sun in the garden. He likes to sit on the sunning himself. So I've got a couple of crystals. That was my first ever pendulum. Listening with ears and eyes and ears. That was my first ever pendulum. It's just a simple, clear piece of crystal. Don't think it was even very expensive. But then I found this one, which I absolutely love. It's a red Jasper one. Oh, matches my outfit. How about that? Oh, this is a clear red Jasper one. This is the one that I connect the most with. And again, as with most crystals, you've got to find one that works with you. Some of them might want to work with you. Some of them will just instantly connect. So if you're in a shop or you're looking online, open up that intuition again and work and pick one that works with you. Pick one that really resonates with you. If you pick it up and you don't feel anything, then it's not for you. I mean, I've got lots of things. I've made pendulums with a hagstone tied to a piece of string. I've made pendulums with crystal tumblestones that I've used a bit of Fimo modelling clay and then made a loop and hung it on a piece of string. You can use all sorts of things. Seed heads, poppy seed heads are really good. Tie a poppy seed head onto a piece of cotton and you've got yourself a pendulum. Shells, pebbles, hagstones are brilliant because they've already got a hole in them. Heather, I love my amethyst pendulum. Heather, if I had to pick a stone for you to use as a pendulum, it would be amethyst. That's you summed up in a crystal. Beautiful and purple. Here's another one that I've not actually used this one yet. I bought this at a fair and it is a quartz with a little, I think that's lapis on the top. It's a necklace, really. It is a necklace, but it will work perfectly well as a pendulum. Basically, you've got to have a piece of string or a piece of cord with something heavy on the bottom. And that's all it needs to be. It doesn't need to be a fancy pendulum. I've got another one here, which is a necklace on a piece of cord. It's a goddess necklace. That would work equally as well. Rose quartz. Maria has a rose quartz one. See, I wouldn't have picked that one for you, Maria. But if it works, I was expecting you to have a black one, Maria, obviously. A heavy metal one. But if it works, you've got to go with your intuition about what one connects with you. Various different ways to hold it, but that's how I hold mine. I've got it there and my thumb just over my finger. Most of them have a little bead or a knot on the end, which allows you to hold it to stop it from slipping. It's got to be loose. Mine is citrine. Lovely, Leslie. A very happy stone. It's got to be hanging loose. Hey, hang loose. So that it can do what it needs to do. You've got to set it first. You've got to ask it a basic set of questions. Diane, I was hanging my nose over a display of beautiful crystal pendulums, and the only one that would work for me was the cheapest one. There was a tiny metal point. Yeah, you have got to go with what works for you, definitely. Vicky, mine's a tiger's eye. Fantastic, lovely, earthy, fiery stone. It's got to hang loosely so that it can work. You have to set some questions first. When you first get your crystal, I would recommend cleansing it, and then I would recommend popping it under your pillow or keeping it in your handbag so that the energies connect with you. Then you have to ask it a set of questions. You have to get it to tell you what a yes and a no is. So if you, I put my elbow on the table and just this is already swinging. I was just going to say, give me a yes. And it's swinging from left to right. So this pendulum, for a yes answer, it will swing left to right. And I absolutely promise you, I am not moving my hand at all. So I usually say thank you. And then it stops. And then I want to give me a no. And it is swinging up and down, top to bottom. And I'll say thank you again. And that's it. Once you've got your yes and your no, because bear in mind that the pendulum isn't going to be able to tell you much more than yes or no. If it doesn't move, or if it swings around in circles, then it means it doesn't know. You might find that for you, a no is left to right and a yes is up and down. You have to work with your pendulum to find out what the yeses and the nos are. Don't complicate it. If you ask a complicated question, or if you ask a question that doesn't have a simple yes or no answer, then you aren't going to get any sensible answer from it at all. So if you ask it a very simple question like, is my name Rachel? And there you go. It's giving me a yes, thank you. Is my name Eric? And I'm getting a no. Thank you. And that's it. It really is that simple. But if it's not working for you, then you're not connecting with it. But you have to establish the yes, no in the beginning so that you know what it's trying to tell you. And you have to ask really simple questions that can have a yes or no answer. You can find things with pendulums. If you've got a map and you're looking for something on the map, if you want to ask it where you should go or where something is, you can put a map down, and it's called dowsing. The divinatory art of using a pendulum or sticks. You may have seen people with wire rods or wooden sticks dowsing for water. Pendulum will do the same thing. You can draw out a map, put a map underneath, and get the pendulum to swing for answers. You can find things with it, but it has to be a process. It has to be a process of yes, no answers. So if you've lost something, you hold your pendulum and say, is it in the front room? Yes or no. Is it in the back room? Is it in the bedroom? And get a yes or no each time. You can process of elimination. You can find things by using the pendulum. And again, really, really simple. Most forms of divination are really straightforward like that. So that's the pendulum, basically, unless anyone's got any other questions about the pendulum. That's how it works. Reading tea leaves. Oh, Karen has a labradorite, a Shiva lingam, and clear quartz. Oh, I bet the Shiva lingam one is interesting to work with. Fascinating crystals. And that's it, basically. You've got to connect with it. You've got to get your yeses and nos right in the first place. And keep it simple, because it's not going to be able to give you all kinds of answers. It can only say yes or no or not answer you at all, which it does sometimes if it doesn't know. The other thing I was asked about was reading tea leaves. You have to have loose tea for that, obviously, because tea bag doesn't leave any tea behind. Drink the tea. You have to leave a few loose. I know most people strain their loose tea, don't they? But you have to leave a few tea leaves in there this time. Drink it, but leave some little bit in the bottom. Drip. Oh dear me! Drink it, but leave the tea leaves in the bottom. Swirl it around in the cup. Some people then tip it out on a saucer. Some people leave it in the cup. It's up to you. But it's the pattern that the tea leaves make. And it's the same with the herbs in the water scrying or the wax. Basically, it's about seeing images, whatever images you can see in there. And say what comes to your mind first off. You can actually do the same thing with coffee grounds. If you make fresh coffee, same thing. Drink it all and leave the grounds or the tea leaves in the bottom, swirl it round, see what image it is, or turn it up straight away onto a teacup, just literally straight over onto a plate, and see what you see. And you need a light plate, china, teacup and saucer for that, because obviously tea leaves and coffee grounds are dark. I used to see if people's chakras were balanced. Yes, the pendulum is brilliant for seeing if your chakras are blocked or unbalanced. If you are a student of the Kitchen Witch School, there is how to do that in one of the branch lessons, in the crystal branch lesson. But yeah, pendulum's really good. You get a chart. You can hold it over a person, over the chakras, and see which way it's swinging. You can ask it, are you blocked? Are you unbalanced? Or you can have a diagram of a person with the chakras if you're doing it for yourself, and you can hold it over each chakra and ask. Very, very clever, an easy way of doing it. So tea leaves and coffee grounds, exactly the same kind of thing as the scrying. You've got to see the symbols in the tea leaves. Say what you see. Absolutely trust your intuition. Back to this, trust your intuition. And the other thing that I was asked, a couple of minutes left. If you've got any questions, you've been hanging on for them, ask them now. The other thing, I'm going with this book, one of my favourites that I've written. If I'm allowed to have favourites, this is my favourite way of working. Yes, Discworld bookmark. Yeah, one of the other things that I was asked was about cloud reading. There are all sorts of what did you miss? Most of it, Tess. All about scrying and divination today, but catch it on the replay. Flower casting is interesting. If you've got petals or seeds, you can take them up in your hands, throw them on a cloth, see where they land, see what images you get. That's always very interesting. There are all sorts of different divinations and scryings. Augury is the practice of divination using natural phenomena, especially by observing the flight and behavior of birds. You can facilitate this divination by sprinkling birdseed or breadcrumb on the ground and watching how the birds land, eat the food, and how they fly away. So if they fly off to the right after eating, then your answer is positive. If they fly off to the left, it's negative. And if they scatter randomly, then the situation is either very complicated or you need more information to solve it. Or they've seen a cat and it scared them. Thank you, Leslie. All sorts of things. Divination using smoke. You can use a stick of incense and read any images and symbols that you see in the smoke from the incense. Could we do some divination by reading Eric Squeaks, do you think? You can do the same with the bonfire, with the smoke from the flames. You can read divination with flames. You can watch a candle flame. Watch how it moves, see what symbols you get to that. You can ask questions and backwards and forwards. 9 o'clock, Tess. I start at 9 o'clock all the time. Cloud scrying, someone asked about. We probably all did it as kids. Laid on your backs, looked up at the sky and watched the clouds as they floated past. It couldn't be simpler. It is literally just laying there and seeing what shapes the clouds form. If you've got a question, keep that question in your mind and then see what shapes you see in the clouds to get your answer. You could, it's up to each individual person what they see and what they interpret it as. You do have to trust your intuition on that one. But cloud scrying is that simple. Laying on your back, looking up the clouds and seeing what images you see. In fact, that's it for most of them. In the flames, in the smoke, whatever it might be, you could see images and symbols and then you translate them. Hi, Violet. Are there any previous ones on Pleepay? I've been doing them for about 3 months, Violet. If the previous ones, you will find them all on my YouTube channel. So, yeah, they're all there. What's the title of that book? It's Witchcraft into the Wilds. It is my pathway. It's all about working with the wilds of nature, roots and bones of witchcraft, working with the seasons and all that nature provides for us. So it's about working witchcraft without any fancy tools. So the scrying in here is about working with the clouds, with the weather, with no fancy tools, none of this. It's all about reading reflections on puddles and the pond. And
you on the front too.
That is me on the yes, that is me on the front. One of my cloaks with my lovely staff. Yeah, this is about natural witchcraft without any need for buying anything other than the book, obviously. It's about working with sticks and leaves and pebbles and everything natural. Thank you, Maria. Thank you, Heather. Yes, there are a lot of these that I've recorded. They're all on my YouTube channel. I think it's Kitchen Witch UK on the YouTube channel, but there is a link to it from my website. Oh, Lana's in New Zealand. Fantastic. 8:47 there. Brilliant. Violet, what is answering when comes to pendulum scrying as not overly open to interpretation? Is it spirit or whatever you believe in? Okay. Interesting question. Whenever you're scrying, pendulum is a different one, I think, because pendulum is just yeses or nos. And I think a lot of that is perhaps your subconscious kicking in. I don't know is the answer, probably. If you work with spirit, then you may well find that spirit do, for want of a better word, interfere with your answers. If you work very strongly with the goddess or the god, then you may well find that that's where the energy comes from. I think with any of it, the scrying and the wax drops, seeing reflections, working with the crystal ball, I think a lot of the answers come from within ourselves. I think that we have to trust that the universe perhaps may even get involved. I don't think there's any one straight answer, Violet. I think it's, it's an individual thing. I really, I don't actually ever question it, to be honest. but I think it will depend on what you believe in, what you work with. Could be a combination of all of them, could be just from inside you. I don't worry about it too much as long as I get the right answers. But you could, if you want to do any kind of divination, you could call on spirit, you could call on the god or the goddess, if that's how you prefer to work. I just let the universe do its thing, really. Read Eric's fur. You could. Well, you read people's lumps and bumps on their heads, don't you? So I guess you could read the dog's fur as well. So that's kind of been a whirlwind tour of some of the forms of divination. There are an awful lot. I think I covered everything that I was, yes. Water scrying, wax reading, crystal ball, pendulum, dark mirrors, reading crystals. You can read all sorts of crystals. It doesn't have to be black obsidian. I think that's it, unless anyone's got any more questions. I would be happy to answer them. If you've got any subjects that you would like me to cover in future ones, please do ask. I'd be happy to oblige. Whatever anybody wants me to demonstrate or show or talk about, I don't mind. Your card again for the weekend is intuition, cornflower. Basically, trust it. Your intuition will never, ever let you down. Jess, yes, he is very black and shiny. We have been accused of polishing Eric before now. He's a walking black mirror, really, isn't he? So, card from the Flower Magic Oracle, that's your card for the weekend. Trust your intuition. It will never, ever let you down. Ignore it at your own peril, basically. But thank you all for joining me over here on my new venue. Violet, I have been doing them for 3 to 4 months, but they are all over on my personal Facebook page. So if you want to hop over there, you can have a look there too. But they are all on YouTube, on my YouTube channel. You're very welcome, Andrew. I'm glad you found it interesting. Thank you. So yes, this will be the home from now on my author page here, because it works with less hassle for me, basically. Again, any questions anybody wants to ask? We've got a few things coming up. If you don't belong to the Kitchen Witch Coven Facebook group, please do hop on over and join. We've got lots and lots of things going on. We've got an online live Lunar ritual in August. Next week, very exciting. Next week, I am kicking off some live Facebook sessions that my publisher Moonbooks is hosting. So the Moonbooks Facebook page, every Wednesday evening, 7 p.m. UK time, there's going to be different authors each week giving a chat and a Q&A, a bit like I've done today. I'm kicking off next Wednesday evening. So do join me there and the other authors, one every week. It's going to be great fun. So that's over on the Moonbooks page. I think we've got a Waffling Witches Book of Shadows event in July. You'll have to check the Kitchen Witch Facebook page because my brain's gone empty. So we've got a Waffling Witches session lined up as well. So do join us for that. So lots happening. Keep an eye on this page and the Kitchen Witch Coven page for all of the online events that are coming up. And I will be back here next Friday talking about something. Don't know what yet. If you've got any ideas or suggestions, do let me know. Maria, is cornflower easy to grow? Yeah, technically it's a bit of a wildflower, Maria, so you can grow it quite easily from seed. They come in pink and white as well, but the blue is such a fantastic colour. Thank you, Melody and Lana. Thank you, Violetta. Yes, do enjoy. Pop over to YouTube. There's lots on there. Thank you, Leslie. Thank you, Sue and Maria. Sue, the last online ritual was brilliant. Thank you, Sue. We have been asked to continue doing them, so we listen and we do as we're told. Well, we don't really, but we listen, and if we want to, we do as we're told. So yes, you will be seeing more online rituals from myself and the Kitchen Witch gang. So the lovely Sue Perryman has written the Lunar rituals, so that'll be us and the gang leading them. So yeah, keep an eye on here and the Kitchen Witch page for all sorts of things. My website, rachelpatterson.co.uk, will have links to my YouTube channel and all of the other events that we're doing. So thank you as always, guys. You are absolutely fantastic. And Eric's giving us a send off, yeah, an official send off. He's barking at pigeons in the garden. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me. Have a fantastic weekend, and I will see you all next week.